It's another beautiful Monday morning in the Federation of St Christopher Nevis, and it's about 1 minute past 11 o'clock within the studios of WINN FM. So you know it's time for another episode of Voices. My name is Socrates. I'm your host today. We have a guest in the studio, but before we get to that very special person, I want to give some shout out to some people who are playing a fundamentally important role, most fundamental, most important. The people in health. We're talking about doctors, nurses, hospital general staff, EMS workers, those in private practice. We want to say a very special good morning to you and thank you once again for keeping us safe over the many, many years, especially during this time of the challenges brought on by COVID-19. And speaking of which, we have an announcement by the PM that there are vaccines available and they'll be shortly rolled out, targeting mainly essential frontline workers, I would suspect, those in healthcare, those at the borders, customs, immigration, those in the tourism sector. I'm going to see the reaction from taxi drivers because they too would have to be up to date with the shots. They don't want to continue in the trade. So once again, good morning to one and all. A special good morning to Amber down there in Anguilla, Brenda O'Neill up there in Charlottesville. Chris Collins sent me a very special comment this morning, which we'll address in a short while. We have DJ Marisha. We have Mr. Peter Enganjui. He is the photojournalist affiliate of the SKNDB and many others. Those are the regulars. But Chris sent me a clip that referred to a historic. As a matter of fact, this is a Black History Month, and Ras Kalonji is here to speak on certain aspects of that. But I want to speak about a historic event that took place last night, organized by the current reigning Calypso monarch, Queenie G, Lady Gloria Esdale. It was the MCA, and she called it the Monarch's Choice Award Ceremony. Well, MCA. It was held down at the, I'm losing it already, down at the Garvey's estate. Very, very spacious place. And she invited and decided to honor lots of folks in the music industry, mainly those in the Calypso fraternity, Calypsonians, band leaders, fellow competitors. I think it was a very, very commendable thing. I dare say that this thing is long overdue. And whereas I think the government, Department of Culture, Carnival Committee should have taken on this, I have to give her kudos for doing so. I received last night my second Lifetime Achievement Award for my contribution to Calypso. The first was in Antigua some years ago. This was the first given to me by a national of St Kitts and Nevis, to which the reigning Calypso monarch. I did say that we would have a very able ambassador in Miss Esdale, but the presentation that she put on last night, no one can walk away and say it wasn't well done, A-class. She got a variety of sponsors to sponsor the trophies, the eateries, the whole thing was just red carpet. So I want to tip my hat to Lady Gloria Esdale, our winning Calypso Queen. There were categories like Best Social Commentary, Brown Sugar would have won that category. Wing Grover Hicks for his long support of the Calypso tent, her band leader said throughout Tuts, So we can entertain calls of that throughout the morning of the show, but guest today will be speaking specifically to a certain aspect, a certain person, as we are addressing Black History Month. I'm going to ask you guys to give him a chance to lay out his foundation, what we want to discuss, and then later on we take calls. The calls, the numbers, if you want to record them now, those who don't know them already, would be 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989, and then we go to 718. These are now overseas lines. 718-265-6948. 508-921-4619. From the UK, we go to 0333-044-0065. We will take a break at the about quarter past. But in the meantime, we want to introduce Ras Kalonji once again to the microphones of WINN FM and address your audience, and then we play the clip until about quarter past.
Yes, I'd just like to say greetings, Brother Socrates, to you and to the African family here in the Federation of Lion Mega and Sweet Oli, and those listening via the internet and the World Wide Web, those in the diaspora. But we specifically target the 200 million plus of us here in the Western world. And we just gonna like to give a big shout out to all Africans globally here, and those especially here in the Federation of St Kitts and Nevis. As you said, my brother, this is Black History Month, and as we continue outlining the great achievements of our people globally, this morning we'll be dealing with Paul Robeson, that great singer, actor, activist, known for his roles in Showboat, Othello, activism in world politics and civil rights movement. A quote from Paul Robeson: "The artist must elect to fight for freedom or slavery. I have made my choice. I had no alternative. The history of the capitalist era is characterized by the degradation of my people, the spoil of their lands, their true culture, destroyed, denied equal protection under the law, and deprive their rights, the rightful place in the respect of their fellows." Now, I'd also like to mention that this is the 86th anniversary of the Buckley's Uprising, the 217th anniversary of the Haitian Revolution. You see what is taking place in Haiti at this time. Imperialism still have the thorn in Haiti's side. And 82nd anniversary of the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King, and the 76th anniversary of the Earth Strong of Bob Marley, and February being the birth month, or the Earth Strong of Brother Dennis Brown, two great Africans who participated in the reggae genre, who spread the message of African liberation. And I also like to shout out all those who celebrating birthday in Black History Month. You know, I'll just give a shout out to all the people them saying, you know, be strong, and I hope you live to see many more Earth Strongs. And a special lady down there in Saddlers, she had a birthday on the 13th of this month, which was on Saturday. So enough love going out to a special lady down there in Saddlers. She knows who she is. Give thanks, one love.
You said you had a clip to play. Was it going to play between now and the
Yes,
break?
let me explain the clip. The clip is by Professor Richard Wolff, and he basically outlining the attack on people who said they were communists, vis-a-vis now the Proud Boys. You know, white supremacy and fascism is on the rise, and we want you to listen to this clip because this will lay the foundation for what we want to deal with when it comes to Paul Robeson.
Okay.
So Professor Wolff will outline the communism versus the Proud Boys. That's the name of the clip.
Okay. If he's got it ready to queue up, let's hear it before we take the break at quarter past.
This is Richard Wolff with another Wolff Responds for Democracy at Work. In light of the impeachment proceedings, the second one against former President Donald Trump, I wanted to draw a historical comparison to underscore an aspect of all of this that is not getting the attention it deserves. And I want to call this discussion, this brief discussion, Communists Then and Proud Boys Now. I want to draw a contrast between what happened to communists after 1945, and particularly from 1945 to roughly 1960, those 15 years, with what is being discussed and considered in relationship to groups like the Proud Boys today. Other groups as well, but I'll use them as the general case. Here's what I want to stress. The communists, and by that I mean the leaders and active members of the Communist Party of the United States, after World War II ended in 1945, were suddenly and dramatically demonized. Here's the reality of what happened then. The Communist Party had grown spectacularly, as had socialist parties and union movements during the Great Depression of the 1930s. And during that time, the Communist Party was a leading member of the New Deal coalition, that coalition of socialists, communists, and labor unions grouped in the CIO that helped bring us the New Deal, the Social Security system, federal unemployment compensation, the nation's first minimum wage, and the public jobs for 15 million Americans that transformed their experience of the Great Depression. Not only were the communists growing and looked upon in large parts of the United States very favorably, but this was followed by World War II. From 1942, roughly, until the end, 1945, the United States was officially allied with the Soviet Union, so that the Communist Party, with its traditional relations with the Soviet Union, was now a loyal part of the alliance fighting fascism in Germany, Italy, and Japan. So from being a part of the national effort on many levels for a long time, 1945 changed everything, and the communists were switched literally overnight from allies, from militants, from people pushing into people who were untrustworthy, disloyal, and dangerous. Communist leaders and activists were hounded out of their jobs by the FBI. They were arrested. In the Smith Act trials, the leaders were imprisoned. When the government could do it, it deported immigrants who had been active with the Communist Party, and quite a few who hadn't been but were caught up in guilt by association. The whole period got a name after the senator who was particularly aggressive in using the government against communists and socialists, Wisconsin Senator Joseph McCarthy. It came to be called McCarthyism. It lasted at least 70 years, 1945 to 2015, 70 years of relentless anti-communist activity, persecution, imprisonment, you name it. Teachers lost their jobs. The whole Hollywood experience was transformed as people were thrown out of the Hollywood movie industry if their politics were considered too close to those of the Communist Party. And what was said as the bad thing the communists had done? Well, the phrase that came to be the key one was that if you were a member of the Communist Party, the government considered that you, quote, advocated the overthrow of the United States government by force and violence. And that was the reason you were subject to the arrests and the deportations and the imprisonment and the loss of your job, etc. Here's the important point. No communist party, officially or unofficially, ever did anything like attack the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. They did organize demonstrations in various parts of the country, but they were almost always very peaceful. And even when there were some incidents, they had nothing in common with what the Proud Boys and other groups like that mounted on January 6 of 2021, the basis in good part for the impeachment effort around former President Trump. They never did what the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, and a whole bunch of others just did. Will they then, history asks, be subjected to anything like the governmental onslaught, deportation, arrest, imprisonment, job loss for 70 years? Ask yourself that question, because if the answer is no, then we have a bizarre problem, don't we? That our reaction to the left wing, which never mounted an assault that killed and terrified our elected leaders and the public and the Capitol Police and others there to guard them, we treated the people who never did anything like that very, very harshly. What will we do to those at the extreme other end of the political spectrum now that they have shown a willingness to consider overthrowing the U.S. government by force and violence in a way nobody has ever done before, including the persecuted communists after World War II? This is Richard Wolff for Democracy at Work.
Pause to give due respect to our sponsors, and when we get back, we ask Ras to expound on that clip and show the correlation between that and his thing about Paul Robinson. So right back after the word from sponsors.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
When they start them there, we are top man, we take charge. Have no reaching go, we are shell down hard. Blast like a star with some gallop. Over no we take it too far. Take charge, take charge.
We are hot gal, we set the trend. Magnum we drink for the top man then. Wine with the style, no stop from spin. Hot blend, back bend, and take charge, take charge.
Magnum tonic wine, for the real star them. Take charge, take charge. Must be 18 or older, drink responsibly.
Gift for Dad's birthday? Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party? Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding? Click.
With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free U.S. mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience. Free consolidation up to 10 pounds. Competitive rates. Free package tracking account with live notifications. Free delivery and, of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
Good morning and welcome back to Voices. In case you're just joining us, my name is Socrates, host of today's episode. And we have in the studios with us this morning Ras Kalonji and Kalonji, right?
Kalonji.
Yeah. I'm speaking Jamaican Kalonji. And he played a clip a while ago by Professor Wolff. And he's want to speak about, well, it's Black History Month. And he want to present a speech by Paul Robinson. So go right ahead, Ras.
Paul Robeson, here I stand. Paul Robeson was the epitome of the 20th century Renaissance man. He was an exceptional athlete, actor, singer, cultural scholar, author, and political activist. His talents made him a revered man of his time, yet his radical political beliefs all but erase him from popular history. Today, more than 100 years after his birth, Robeson is just beginning to receive the credit he is due. Born in 1898, Paul Robeson grew up in Princeton, New Jersey. His father had escaped slavery and become a Presbyterian minister, while his mother was from a distinguished Philadelphia family. At 17, he was given a scholarship to Rutgers University, where he received an unprecedented 12 major letters in 4 years and was his class valedictorian. After graduating, he went to Columbia University Law School and in the early 1920s took a job with a New York law firm. Racial strife at the firm ended Robeson's career as a lawyer early, but he was soon to find an appreciative home for his talents. Returning to his love of public speaking, Robeson began to find work as an actor. In the mid-1920s, he played the lead in Eugene O'Neill's All God's Children Got Wings in 1924 and Emperor Jones 1925. Throughout the late 1920s and 1930s, he was a widely acclaimed actor and singer, with songs such as his trademark Old Man River. He became one of the most popular concert singers of his time. His Othello was the longest running Shakespeare play in Broadway history, running for nearly 300 performances. It is still considered one of the great American Shakespeare productions. While his fame grew in the United States, he became equally well loved internationally. He spoke 15 languages and performed benefits throughout the world for causes of social justice. More than any other performer of his time, he believed that the famous have a responsibility to fight for justice and peace. As an actor, Robeson was one of the first black men to play serious roles in the primarily white American theater. He performed in a number of films as well, including a remake of The Emperor Jones in 1933 and Song of Freedom 1936. In a time of deeply entrenched racism, he continually struggled for further understanding of cultural differences. At the height of his popularity, Robeson was a national symbol and a cultural leader in the war against fascism abroad and racism at home. He was admired and befriended by both the general public and prominent personalities, including Eleanor Roosevelt, W.E.B. Du Bois, Joe Louis, Pablo Neruda, Lena Horne, and Harry Truman. While his varied talents and his outspoken defense of civil liberties brought him many admirers, it also made him enemies among conservatives trying to maintain the status quo. During the 1940s, Robeson's black nationalist and anti-colonialist activity brought him to the attention of Senator Joseph McCarthy. Despite his contribution as an entertainer to the Allied forces during World War II, Robeson was singled out as a major threat to American democracy. Every attempt was made to silence and discredit him, and in 1950, the persecution reached a climax when his passport was revoked. He could no longer travel abroad to perform, and his career was stifled. Of this time, Lloyd Brown, a writer and longtime colleague of Robeson, states, Paul Robeson was the most persecuted, the most ostracized, the most condemned black man in America, then or ever. It was 8 years before his passport was reinstated, A weary and triumphant Robeson began again to travel and give concerts in England and Australia. But the years of hardship had taken their toll. After several bouts of depression, he was admitted to a hospital in London, where he was administered continued shock treatments. When Robeson returned to the United States in 1963, he was misdiagnosed several times and treated for a variety of physical and psychological problems. Realizing that he was no longer the powerful singer or agile orator of his prime, he decided to step out of the public eye. He retired to Philadelphia and lived in self-imposed seclusion until his death in 1976. To this day, Paul Robeson's many accomplishments remain obscured by the propaganda of those who tirelessly dodged him throughout his life. His role in the history of civil rights and as a spokesperson for the oppressed of other nations remain relatively unknown. In 1995, more than 75 years after graduating from Rutgers, his athletic achievements were finally recognized with his posthumous entry into the College Football Hall of Fame. Though a handful of movies and recordings are still available, they are sad testimony to the one of the greatest American of the 20th century. If we are to remember Paul Robeson for anything, it should be for the courage and the dignity with which he struggled for his own personal voice and for the rights of all people.
We are 28 minutes down past 11 o'clock. In the studio of WINN FM, we're another episode of Voices. My name is Socrates, and we had Ras Kalonji. It's Black History Month, and he is expounding on the life and works of Paul Robeson. So,
before we go any further, we'd just like to play another clip with Paul Robeson on colonialism. And it's short, it's not long. And then we'll get right back into the program.
You know, to build. You did it another way here in Australia. You had to build your...
How is it that the American Negro, who for so long has been a second-class citizen in the United States...
Still is, I'm sorry.
How is it that he's contributed so much to American culture?
Well...
Music, dance, everything you can think of.
Well, I have to be very modest about that. I would say certainly as we look at the African peoples in Nigeria, for example, I just got a wonderful invitation to go to Nigeria to be present at the installation at the Governor General Ezekwe, an old friend, who will now, and I had to cable him. I'm in Australia. I certainly would like to be with you, but I'm out here with some good folks. But I'll get to Nigeria later.
Mr. Robson, do you feel that Africa is to some extent an affinity for it, a home, or do you still feel America is essentially your home? How do you feel?
Well, let me come. Yeah, I'll come to that in just a second. But to come back to it, so I would say the Africans and the American Negroes have turned out to be an extraordinarily gifted people. The great tragedy is that by not making us full-class citizens as yet in America, they may be losing, I don't know how much yet. That's all. And to come back, I would say that unquestionably, I am an American, born there. My father slaved there. Upon the backs of my people was developed the primary wealth of America, the primary wealth. You have to have accumulated wealth to start, to build. You did it another way here in Australia. You had to build your accumulated wealth too. You just came and took it. You know what I mean? And that's what they did in most of the countries. That's what you Europeans did. You just took it. We got to catch up with you a little bit. And so in America. So there's a lot of America that belongs to me yet. You understand? But just like a Scottish American is proud of being from Scotland, I'm proud for being African. Now, in our school books, they tried to tell me that all Africans were savages, till I got to London and found most of the Africans I knew were going to Oxford and Cambridge and doing very well, and learned their culture. And even once somebody had the temerity, after one had conquered the Chinese people and imposed upon them the opium trade and everything else, to suggest that they were a backward people, just the people who had been civilized so long over the rest of you folks didn't make any sense at all. So somewhere, it was wonderful to find about the colored peoples of the world that they were very advanced. So I would say today that I'm an American who is infinitely prouder to be of African descent, no question about it, no question about it. I'm an Afro-American, and I don't use the word American ever loosely again.
We at this point, because of we got to take another word from our sponsors. But we may get back with entertain the discussions, whether in the studio from our listening audience. So another word from the sponsors, please. Thank you very much.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Feel the magic happening.
Campari.
Taste. Something incredible happens when Campari is mixed just right. Like Campari and orange juice poured over ice. Taste it. Try it tonight. Bitter, sweeter, better. Campari. Must be 18 years and older. Drink responsibly.
Good morning once again to our viewers and radio listeners. My name is Socrates, and we are engaged in another episode of Voices. And in the studio with me is Ras Kalonji discussing Paul Robinson. It's Black History Month, so we're interested in this. Ras, make the connection for me between Paul Robinson, the clip he played with Professor Wolf, and the Proud Boys.
What Professor
So many correlation.
Yeah. Paul Robeson was a member of the American Communist Party. He was a member of the Communist Party.
Was blacklisted by the McCarthyism?
Exactly. He was hounded, as you heard Professor Wolf talk about. Professor Wolf was making a comparative analysis between the persecution of communists in the United States, which Paul Robeson was a part of, and the Proud Boys are the fascists in the United States, the white supremacists, storming the Capitol building and destroying it. And one thing, that is very peculiar about that, when black people demonstrate and uprise and rebel against the system, they say, oh, they're mashing up the communities. But I haven't heard anybody say that the Proud Boys and the fascists mash up their own capital in Washington, D.C. You see, and what is very interesting is that we have a different response when it comes to black people in terms of dealing in anything because of the propaganda that is spread by the system. No, we have been taught that communism is something very bad. But Paul Robeson, being such a great man, because he was a lawyer, he was a singer, he was an actor, I mean, you name it. He could speak several different languages, was an outstanding member of the American Communist Party and was persecuted for it, hounded. His passport was withdrawn from him, he couldn't travel. You see what I'm saying? So in this Black History Month, we bring up the accomplishments of a man like Paul Robeson to show our people, you understand, that we must stop fall for the propaganda that our enslavers have put out against black people in terms of anything that they participated in that is not in tune with our oppressor.
Do you think that any member, any society of black people would have bought that propaganda against Paul Robinson? I mean, he was well known for his accomplishment. But do you think that anybody in their conscious mind would have bought that image painted and sent out by the authorities at the time?
Exactly. Because our people always fall for the propaganda. I mean, they even have black people who came against Paul Robeson, saying that he's against the United States.
Because it's all the communist versus democracy. They use that argument.
Yeah, basically, and McCarthy, I mean, how much, I don't know if you know about the Rosenbergs. They were Jews,
Yeah.
and they were members of the Communist Party, and they were put to death. They tried them and put them to death, saying that they was conspiring to overthrow the U.S. government.
Okay.
You understand?
I remember that story.
Yeah, that was during the McCarthy era. You see, the Rosenbergs were wiped out, not assassinated, but put on trial, and was extinguished from the society.
So, the Proud Boys, I mean, we delve into what's happening in the U.S. at the moment. And somebody asked, well, what does that have to do with us? It actually has an impact because we depend so much on the U.S. for so many different things. But we watched that. And we were able to make our own judgment in terms of the impeachment and how the Senate, the Republicans, refused to convict Donald Trump, etc. We know how that plays out. We see the racism, we see the favoritism, we know how it is. We know Mitch McConnell. And it's my take that Mitch set them up. Mitch set them up because Mitch McConnell said that he wanted to delay the trial. And he did so until Trump would have left office. And then he said, you cannot, what was the word I'm looking for?
You cannot convict him.
You cannot impeach him because he's no longer in office.
Exactly.
And then he gave this scathing report on Trump's performance and behavior. He blamed him for everything, but failed to vote to convict him.
But look
the lady who called him Moscow Mitch, they want to censor her because she called him Moscow Mitch. I call him Mitch McConnell. McConnell, he cons them, he cuts them all.
Okay.
But they played into his hands. He said, we cannot impeach him or delay the trial until after he would have left office. And then said, oh, you can't impeach him because he's no longer a sitting president. And they just fell for it. But he's being played by somebody. He's playing somebody because whatever it is. But the repercussions on the
But look at that dichotomy now. His life was threatened.
Yes, what I'm saying, there's a puppet master somewhere behind because it doesn't relate to common sense. We see the rationale. It doesn't make sense. But he played them. Look at it. They could have impeached Trump while he was still sitting as a president. But can say, no, wait. wait. Until he would have left office and then says, you cannot impeach him constitutionally because he is no longer a sitting president. You can impeach a president who will have office. And so he would have had his cake and a chance to eat it too. And then he comes out with this scathing report on Trump, etc. I am tired of Trump, but you see, it's important to pay attention. You just can't brush it aside because there are larger forces at play. Larger forces. This was the same Mitch who promised to make Barack Obama a one-term president by objecting to every piece of legislation he would have advanced. And he tied his hands in so many, many ways. This was before the Democrats had the minority in Congress. And when Mitch got it, that was it. They stymied every piece of legislation. So now he ended up with Trump, the glory boy. And that is why they're in the state they are today. So those are warning about what may happen because you didn't really censor Trump. Donald Trump will never, ever be able to get back in office again. His tax release issue is still there. And he will never be able to, over the next 2 years, get away from presenting his tax returns. So I'm not worried about that. But it's the mindset behind the people who support him. Another Jim Jones. You wonder, how could Jim Jones, and we pause to entertain a call 11 Voices. Hope you wouldn't miss a call. If you get a chance, please call back again. We wonder how the Jim Jones of the world, how the Hitlers of the world could rise to prominence. We have watched it play out in a lifetime. Trump.
Because that is their culture. They gravitate to that kind of white supremacist and fascist culture. And that's what our people have to understand. It's like, okay, you were saying, I think you was asking me a question, what is the relationship, what happening here, in the United States to what is taking place
correlation,
here?
Yeah.
It's our people. What was the relationship with apartheid and we here? If we were in their position, the same thing will happen to us. So what I'm saying is that white supremacy and fascism is global because the United States is the leading country in the
We'll
world.
pause to take a call. Caller, you're live on Voices. We may have missed that other caller, so we apologize. And once again, the numbers to call if you wish to get on the program are 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. Those are your local numbers. Our overseas lines are 718-265-6948, 508-921-4619. And then there is 0333-044-0065. And we apologize for missing your calls. But the engineers just like waiting. Please call again. Ras, go ahead.
Yeah, as I was saying, is that these things, when it comes to white supremacy, like I've been saying recently, our people have to make a choice whether you're going to support white supremacy or African liberation globally. Because you see what happened now. The situation that we're in is not a local one no more, it's international. Because the pandemic is international.
How do we get our people, quote, to see things in black and white that way?
The conditions. Marcus Garvey said, when everything else fails to organize the people, conditions will. We mightn't see it now, but we'll be forced to see it. Because what? Right now here in the Federation, in this pandemic, we can't be fighting down each other because any one of us could be a victim of the pandemic.
Here's what. Our PM, okay, caller 11 Voices.
Greetings, blessed love.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to Voices.
Yeah, man. Ras Kalonji.
Blessed love.
Blessed. Kalonji, the communist system is Marxism, it is?
That's the Marxist philosophy.
How well does a system like that promote human rights?
It do promote human rights because it's for the poor people that is oppressed globally. And you see what I'm saying is that our people always take the propaganda of our enslavers. We have no idea what communism and socialism is about. You understand?
Well, remember, it's the same system that tried to replace His Majesty rule in Ethiopia.
But that might be the case, but what I'm saying to you, look at a country like Cuba, right? And the achievements of Cuba, not only in the field of medicine, but Cuba was responsible for the liberation of South Africa when they had to send Cuban troops to Southern Africa to liberate Nelson Mandela.
What is responsible to hold out? They supported them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying in terms of human rights, knowing that without your rights, you're basically a slave.
But you have human rights. Black people have human rights in the United States.
Yeah, but it's something that His Majesty stood for, the human rights, knowing human rights. It is why he gives the Ethiopians a constitution.
Yeah, but let me say this.
Them about the human rights.
Listen what I'm saying to you. Listen what I'm saying to you.
Because he's on the call.
Yeah, listen what I'm saying to you. Cubans have human rights?
Me too familiar with Cuba situation.
That's what I'm saying.
Why is it Cubans are trying to leave Cuba?
Because of the propaganda of the United States. The majority of Cubans are in Cuba.
I'm going to wait on that. I have been there, and I've seen people who are afraid to speak with us. I know a lady who wanted to leave. Her father's from Grenada. She would like to go to Grenada, but she cannot. So you got to be careful when you say that the majority there.
When that was?
This was the same week that Castro took ill.
Okay.
Around that time. They had this, yeah, I was there. I've seen them interacting. There's so much paranoia and lack of trust. They don't know who is who. They don't have the freedoms that I enjoy. They don't have that.
I hear about Mali, right? You don't want to go live on in a Marxist system.
But you don't know what Marxism is about.
That's what I'm saying. That way you're asking questions, right?
So I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what to do. Let me say this. I'm going to give you the information. Professor Richard Wolff, right? Type in his name on YouTube and he will explain what Marxism is about.
See.
So you will know for yourself. You don't have to take it from me.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that we must always, strive to promote human rights, you know what I mean? No, it's the right thing to do, you know?
I don't have a problem with that, but what I'm saying to you,
For
you
the
see...
benefit of the listener, let him make his point.
Yeah, no, I'm going to finish now. We always falling for our oppressors' explanation of things.
Okay, but I didn't listen to no oppressors, you know? I just listening from the... This is African History Month, right?
Yes,
And,
Black
Black
History Month is called.
Meditation, the men get so foolishness with that over there in Ethiopia, right? The next thing, you know what I mean? You know about the pineal gland?
Sure.
Okay. How important is the pineal gland, the human being? What does the pineal gland do?
Explain it to the audience.
Well, okay, I was reading a book there, and you're showing that the pineal gland is what translates spiritual concepts into human process, right? So which means your pineal gland is what basically bring the God experience to you, spirituality, the help you to develop spiritually, right? So I was wondering how safe is vaccine, especially these vaccine in this COVID time, you know, in benefiting the pineal gland, affecting in a negative way the pineal gland. I mean, if you got any more information on the health of the pineal gland, but based on what I read, you know, is a very, very, very important member in your brain, you know. So I'll stop there and listen to what you have to say.
But I see your concerns about the vaccines, and you know I'm against
vaccines.
vaccines.
Yeah, man, because you're saying it's a pandemic, and you're saying that it's out to destroy the African, right?
Not only African, but poor people in general, black people in particular, and poor people in general.
Spiritual awareness, right, is important, right?
Yeah, but you talk about spiritual. You're always talking about spiritual importance. Nothing wrong with that. But spirituality can defend us from the imperialist forces. We have to deal with them on every level. Because our people were spiritual when we were conquered and brought to the West.
We were spiritual.
Yeah, we're always spiritual.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, when I look into the history we had, right, a lot of the greatness that we achieved was because of our spirituality.
Yeah, but we had nothing to defend ourselves because we wasn't on that tip. That's what I'm saying to you. In this age, you see what is happening. Look how the Proud Boys stormed the Capitol.
Well,
look what happened to George Floyd.
Weren't we conquerors? Did we conquer other nationalities?
Well,
you see, we are not to defend ourselves. We were not always victims, you know.
Exactly, but what I'm saying to you, okay, take in Ethiopia.
No,
Ethiopia defeated the fascists in the Second World War.
Africa, right? If you look into the African history, right, Africa was the superpower of the world when we were spiritual people.
Good, but we were conquered.
I don't understand when you say, well, we had nothing to defend ourselves.
No, because it wasn't about weaponry and that sort of stuff. We were living a spiritual life. For instance, right? The only country that defeated the fascists was Ethiopia.
Let me get the point across. Because, go ahead.
Ethiopia, right, defended itself against fascism, right? Through the spiritualness, they had no superior weapons like the Italians. But
they had weapons. They had weapons. In 1896,
not advanced. Nothing to that I was trying to show you, but the greatest weapon was the spirituality.
No, they had to fight, my brother.
Yeah,
come on.
I'm saying how they fight, how they fought.
They fought with weapons.
Yeah, and strengthened by Kalonji, strengthened by that spirit, that spiritual energy.
Yeah, but the point I'm making, if they didn't have weapons to defend themselves, they would have been in a worse situation.
Invaders, that's how they get weapons. Remember, they didn't give His Majesty Army nothing.
Listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying to you. Listen what I'm saying. They had weaponry also.
The spiritual value. I don't think we're doing justice when we play it down. You
I'm
see,
not
we
playing it down. All I'm saying to you, my brother, we have to have weaponry to defend ourselves. Where you think Haiti was liberated?
No, I'm saying, me talking about no weaponry, but all I'm saying, right, pineal gland, right, give rise to the development of our spiritual part of being. Right?
I understand that. I'm not denying that.
What effect would a vaccine like this nature have and that part of our body? You know what I mean? That's all I'm asking, you know, if you have any information.
No, I don't really have any information. I know that the pineal gland is a very important thing in your body.
Okay. Well, I got to step aside then, you know.
Okay, blessed Lord.
Give thanks, blessed.
I want to thank the caller for his contribution to the program and to the debates. And we would have just missed another call. We got about 8 minutes up to the 12 o'clock hour. And the engagement was very interesting, but sometimes I want to let the cousin get their point across because we have a wider listening audience.
Exactly.
I want to hear what the caller have to say. Okay, so you're making a case that Robinson, being a communist, ostracized, blacklisted, victimized, etc., would not have had the same reception or treatment as the Proud Boys.
History shows us
the point you talk about communism and how the freedom, as I said, I spent time in Cuba. And my take on this was, okay, Castro, you would have made your points. You would have made your stand against Americans. We get you. But I don't feel comfortable with the people living there not enjoying the same freedoms that I enjoyed.
But there's a reason for that. Let me ask you a question.
You were responding to the chat that says on the community they're free.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, okay, let's make a comparative analysis. Black people in the United States is free?
No, you were saying under communism in Cuba they were all free.
No.
I have to challenge that.
Good, but what I'm saying to you, the difference in Cuba is that the United States is always trying to sabotage Cuba.
I understand that, but I'm saying the democratic system that they expound in the U.S. exposes is different to the communisms. They're two different approaches.
No,
it's
but
an ism, yes.
But you see, the mistake we are making, you can't make you can't judge it like that, because democracy doesn't denote a political economy. Democracy is just a broad term. Communism and socialism. Capitalism in the United States
is the bedrock of democracy.
No, you can't look at. No, because for instance, hear what you said first. Democracy and communism. You have to just oppose it.
No. You made a reference between what happens in Cuba and the U.S. You asked me if black people in the U.S. are free.
Yeah, no, listen what I'm saying. For instance, when you say communism, referring to Cuba, you have to say capitalism, not democracy. It's two different things.
When I say communism, referring to Cuba, we're going to say capitalism, not democracy?
Yeah, because it donates the political economy. It is making a statement in reference to how the political economy is governed.
In a communist system, the state governs everything. As a matter of fact, the Cuban workers working around the Caribbean, their salary goes home, a very large percentage have to go back to Cuba.
Exactly.
If I work in the U.S. and I want to keep my money and spend it, send it back home, it's up to me.
Yeah, because it's a different system. So the point I'm making is that when we're talking about the two different systems, we talk, say, socialism or communism. We just oppose it to democracy. I'm saying no, you have to just oppose it to capitalism.
I agree with you. I said capitalism is the bedrock of democracy.
No, you can't say the bedrock of democracy. Democracy is separate from that. Because you could be in a communist or socialist country and have democracy.
But it would be selective. But in a capitalistic, democratic society, I have the right or the power to invest. In a communist country, you can't.
No, listen what I'm saying.
Am I saying the point?
Listen what I'm saying, my brother. When we're referring to the two systems, right, we say communism and democracy. I'm saying no. You have to say
two opposing.
Yeah, two opposing political systems. That's the point I'm making. We don't say communism and capitalism. We say communism.
Let's call at 4 minutes to the. Wow.
Missed the call again.
Yeah, we got about 4 minutes up to call you live on Voices. Hello. Call your live on voices. Would you have missed a call also?
Miss.
But then actually,
Oh, Lord, what's happening?
We got about 3 minutes before the midday news hour. So, okay. Well, yeah, you were saying. Because I'm trying to find out. I know the whole issue, the difference in the approach from the U.S. to Russia, China, as opposed to Cuba. Call your live on voices.
Socrates morning.
Good morning, sir. Lovely hearing your voice.
I now watch your dashboard, man.
No, I'm too far from it.
The man right there.
Kalonji, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm morning to all the listeners.
Yes, go ahead.
Kalonji, me are confused. Man, if we explain freedom and black people in America for me, and then after lunch, they go jump off of the phone. Just explain that there for me. Can I spend a lot of time up there? And I got plenty Cuban friends. I got Cuban friends in Miami. I got Cuban friends that when we live in Antigua, then come and me get friends with them because where they may stay and so. They see how me work and so. And trust me, I don't know how me gravitate them to me. But me go tell you something that you said there that me go contrary to when we come back after lunch. But explain black people and free. Me need to get the part to clear up. And then me go give you my experience. Okay then, after lunch.
We'll hear from you after lunch, but in the meantime, he's got the mic. Go ahead, Ras.
Yeah.
Well, you see, what happened to George Floyd? If we were free, all these atrocities that happening over the centuries from since we was enslaved today, and you say we're free and these things still happening, and none of these cops who are killing people have been prosecuted. Look at Rodney King. I was in the U.S. when Rodney King took place. You know, we like to talk about freedom, but we don't understand when we're talking about freedom, because if black people was free, George Floyd wouldn't have took place. We have a caller.
We got about a minute, caller.
Hello,
Yes,
good morning.
Yes.
Socrates and
Yes, sir.
Kalonji. I am not seeing where this conversation is going. And in my opinion, the two isms that pervade was never a part of us. Whatever those isms are peripheral of a deeper system, and it was not labeled capitalism or communism. So I am not seeing where this conversation is going. We need to get beyond those isms and really go do the Sankofa and get back to how our system used to thrive, because those isms, these two isms, are the isms that we're trying to promote now. Foreign, and their design was never designed to really give us the totality of what we're saying.
Where communism started?
Huh?
Where communism started?
I don't know, but
In Africa.
it was not called communism.
Yeah, but it's the same concept.
I say it was not called that.
I understand, but it was the same concept.
Okay, right. So that's the point I am trying to get back to. Once we get back to the real thing, then we will relay all of the fears and the anxiety as to which one of the isms we should settle for. It was not called communism. It was not called capitalism.
Okay,
none
Africa.
of that. So
Here's
we
what.
cannot defend those type of names.
If you want to
Those
come
are
back
just
after...
labels, like Christianity,
Africa.
and Islam and those things.
Africa.
Those things that, the things that
If you want to
happen
call
today,
back
we
after
need
the
to get
midday
beyond that
newscast, you're
point.
free to do so. Right now, we're going to have to pause for the midday newscast. So, wrap to us after, all right? I want to thank all many callers and contributors to the first hour of the program, and we will speak to you after the midday news highlights. Thank you.
Found the sound 98.9 WINN FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults. It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs. And make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs. And make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
With the WINN Headline News, I am Kevon Brown. Our top stories. St Kitts and Nevis receives 2,000 vaccines from the Commonwealth of Dominica. Regionally, economic outlook uncertain. Officials banking on vaccine rollout to revive tourism. And now, the details. St Kitts and Nevis has received its first batch of COVID-19 vaccines, and it's from the Commonwealth of Dominica. Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris, in a broadcast to the nation at 7 p.m. Saturday, February 13th, confirmed regional media reports aired earlier last week that COVID-19 vaccines had arrived in St Kitts and Nevis.
I am pleased to announce that the government of St Kitts and Nevis received 2,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine this week, courtesy of the government of Dominica.
St Kitts and Nevis has also received confirmation that vaccines from COVID-19 Vaccines Global Access Facility, known as COVAX, will be in the country before the end of the month.
We also received confirmation from the director of the COVAX office that the Federation is set to receive 21,600 doses of vaccine by the end of this month.
In his Saturday night address, Dr. Harris did not offer details about the vaccination plans for the vaccines received from Dominica, which arrived last week, but said a plan was in the works to vaccinate citizens and residents.
Our health professionals have worked to establish a vaccination plan to immunize not only our frontline and essential workers, but every citizen and resident in due course.
The vaccines shared by Dominica with St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines were donated by India. India dispatched Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines called Covishield COVID-19 vaccines in India, manufactured by the Serum Institute of India, to Barbados and Dominica. Barbados received 100,000 vaccines from India. Dominica reportedly received 70,000 vaccines. India plans to distribute 500,000 vaccines across the Caribbean in what some have described as its vaccine diplomacy initiative, as reported by CARICOM.
Further assistance in the form of vaccine donations is also expected from the government of India and other allies.
Longtime ally, the Republic of China on Taiwan, is also granting St. Kitts and Nevis $600,000 to procure vaccines. Officials are aiming to vaccinate 70% of the population's estimated 53,000 people to achieve herd immunity, also known as population immunity, or the indirect protection from infectious disease. With the arrival of 2,000 AstraZeneca vaccines in St. Kitts and Nevis last week, now confirmed by officials, questions are being raised about the rollout of the first batch. Monday morning, WINN forwarded some of those questions to the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Hazel Laws. The questions include: how many people can be vaccinated with the first delivery? Which population group will get the first doses? Health workers, vulnerable people, over 70s, etc. How will the vaccine be administered? Will there be vaccine centers set up in St Kitts and Nevis? Will there be an appointment system? Is a register being compiled of people and their eligibility so that immunization can begin the moment the vaccine arrives in the Federation? The vital tourism industry that employs thousands in the Eastern Caribbean is estimated to have declined by 75% last year, 2020, due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on international travel. But while the economic outlook for the region is uncertain due to the recent spike in the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in key source markets and some member countries, the rollout of vaccines in these source markets and the arrival of vaccines in the ECCU member countries are positive developments, notes the communiqué issued at the end of the 98th meeting of the Eastern Caribbean Monetary Council. The financial sector remained stable, with none of the licensed financial institutions operating in the ECCU requesting liquidity support from the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank. But non-performing loans in the ECCU as of September 2020 averaged 11.2%, and that number is expected to increase when loan moratoriums expire in September of this year. As of November 30th, 2020, commercial banks were providing deferral on 16,834 loans, with a total outstanding balance of $4.3 billion, which represents 32% of total loans. Fiscal conditions across the ECCU deteriorated in 2020 as governments experienced a sharp decline in revenue, while simultaneously spending significant sums on COVID-19 related expenditure to protect lives and support livelihoods. Up to September 2020, the aggregate overall fiscal deficit was $261 million, compared with a deficit of $135 million in the same period of 2019. Total revenue collections across the region declined by $777 million, while expenditure fell by $671 million. The performance of the regional government securities market remains relatively stable as member governments continue to meet debt service obligations and actively access the market to raise funds to support economic activity. Last year, ECCU governments raised $1.1 billion on the regional government securities market, a contraction of 15.7% compared to 2019. Chairman of the Caribbean Community, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, has extended congratulations to the West Indies cricket team on their Test series victory against Bangladesh. Prime Minister Rowley praised the discipline, determination and grit of the Caribbean players under the captaincy of Craig Brathwaite to secure 2 consecutive wins against the home side. He commended Coach Phil Simmons and the entire team for their cohesive approach, skill and passion, and especially Nkrumah Bonner, who clinched the Man of the Series title for his important, consistent performance with the bat. The Prime Minister also lauded Kyle Mayers for his inspiring debut knock of 210 not out in the first test to earn the Man of the Match accolade, and Rakeem Cornwall for the 9-wicket haul which adjudged him the Man of the Match in Sunday's encounter. Kyle Mayers, Man of the Match first test. Prime Minister Rowley stated that the achievement had brought great pride to CARICOM and to West Indians everywhere. He urged the players, coach and regional cricket administrators to build upon the success to take the West Indies to new heights. The COVID-19 dashboard of Monday, February 15th reflects St Kitts and Nevis recording of 41 confirmed COVID-19 cases. The last public announcement of cases here by local officials reveal 40 cases. More on this story in later newscasts. Over the weekend, WINN became aware of an unidentified cruise ship lingering off the coast of St. Kitts in the Old Road Bay area. and questions were raised as to whether the ship would be safe harboring as 2 previous cruise ships did in November 2020. In seeking insight into the matter, WINN spoke with an official from the St Kitts Tourism Authority who indicated that the ship is simply lingering in Caribbean waters as they sometimes do, and currently there exists no indication of docking at our port. The official also indicated that they were unaware of the name of the cruise ship. Additionally, it was mentioned that no entry requirement forms have been processed, and thus the ship should not be sailing into our exclusive waters.
Live from NPR News, I'm Giles Snyder. That winter storm hitting much of the middle of the country reaches down to the Texas Gulf Coast, bringing with it heavy snow, ice, and bitterly cold temperatures. The weather is causing power problems. More than 2.5 million Texas customers reported without electricity this morning. Brett Jaspers is with member station KERA in Dallas. He reports the state's grid operator has started rolling blackouts to conserve energy.
The Arctic air has swept significant snow and ice and extremely low temperatures into a region unaccustomed to this kind of weather. Forecasters say wind chills in the Dallas-Fort Worth region will be colder than 10 degrees below zero. Hundreds of flights have been canceled, and officials are telling people to stay off the roads. Flavio Morera of Dallas said he doesn't have much experience driving in these conditions.
We drove once in Colorado through the Rockies during blizzard, so that's as much experience I've had. So yeah, I'm pretty concerned.
The White House has declared a federal emergency so agencies can coordinate their response. I'm Brett Jaspers in Dallas.
The National Weather Service has posted winter weather advisories from Texas to Maine for heavy snow and ice. As new cases of coronavirus continue to decline, the pace of vaccinations has accelerated, but as NPR's Allison Aubrey reports, the demand for the vaccine outstrips supply.
So far, more than 38 million people in the U.S. have received at least one dose of vaccine, and about 1.6 million shots are being administered a day. The Biden administration has finalized deals to buy 200 million more doses from Pfizer and Moderna by the end of July, but for the moment, demand exceeds supply, says Dr. Mark Boom, CEO of Houston Methodist Hospital.
We're still seeing far more people who desire vaccine than we can possibly give it to at the present time.
As states have ramped up capacity to deliver shots, an additional vaccine could help boost supply. Advisors to the FDA will convene later this month to discuss emergency use authorization of the one-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Allison Aubrey, NPR News.
With former President Donald Trump's Senate impeachment trial ending in acquittal over the weekend, President Biden is now looking at Congress to quickly pivot and pass his $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. There are fears that the size of the package could overheat the economy, but NPR's Scott Horsley says the Biden White House is more worried about the here and now.
The administration is certainly more worried about, the people who've lost jobs and the parents who can't go to work because their kids aren't in school. The latest congressional forecast predicts it's going to be 2024 before we get back all the jobs we've lost, and the administration says that's not good enough. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told CNN she thinks the U.S. could be back to full employment next year if Congress were to pass the president's rescue plan. And keep in mind, Steve, Yellen used to be chair of the Federal Reserve, where keeping an eye out for inflation was a big part of her job.
This is NPR News. The North Carolina Republican Party is expected to vote tonight on whether to censure Senator Richard Burr. Burr was one of 7 Republicans who voted to convict former President Donald Trump over the weekend. A state party spokesman says the state party's Central Committee is holding an emergency meeting tonight. Over the weekend, the Louisiana GOP censured Senator Bill Cassidy. NASA's latest 6-wheeled rover is on track to reach Mars on Thursday. NPR's Joe Palco reports on this mission as being the first step in an ambitious plan to bring samples of Martian rocks back to Earth.
The rover is called Perseverance. It carries a number of instruments to conduct its own exploration of Martian rocks, but as sophisticated as the rover's instruments are, they don't have all the capabilities of a fully equipped lab here on Earth. So one of Perseverance's major goals is to collect rock samples that can someday be studied in one of those labs. That will require 2 additional missions, one to collect the samples and put them into orbit around Mars, the other to transfer them from that orbit back to Earth. With help from the European Space Agency, NASA hopes to do that by 2031. Joe Palca, NPR News.
Over the weekend, the United Arab Emirates published the first image taken by its Mars probe, the picture taken last week, a day after the probe entered into orbit around Mars on Tuesday in the Arab world's first interplanetary mission. Wall Street closed today for the President's Day holiday. Stocks, though, are rising elsewhere. Global markets are higher as investors focus on the pace of vaccinations and President Biden's COVID relief bill. I'm Giles Snyder, NPR News.
Coming up after the news on the BBC World Service, it's Hard Talk with me, Stephen Sacco. Right now, the world is seeing two sides of Vladimir Putin's Russia. The one he wants you to see as the scientifically advanced nation offering the world an effective COVID vaccine known as Sputnik. The one he would rather you ignore is the repressive authoritarian state that eliminates those who threaten the status quo. My guest today is Kirill Dmitriev, a Putin ally, the boss of one of Russia's sovereign wealth funds, and a key backer of the Russian vaccine.
We have to be honest that majority of the Russians strongly and unequivocally support President Putin, and West needs to learn to live with this reality and find areas to work together with Russia, because if we always have negative attitude to Russia, it doesn't lead to any solution.
That's Kirill Dmitriev on Hard Talk after the news.
Hello, this is Julie Candler with the BBC News. The former Nigerian finance minister Nkosi Okonjo-Iweala has become the first woman and the first African to be appointed as Director General of the World Trade Organization. The Economist acquired U.S. citizenship in 2019. Here's our economics correspondent, Andrew Walker.
Ms Okonjo-Iweala has been appointed by consensus of the WTO members, none objecting to her selection. Previously, when a group of trade diplomats concluded that she had more support than the other candidates, the US, under Donald Trump, had opposed her appointment. President Biden's team has moved quickly to unblock the process. She will take charge of an organisation with major challenges, including a system for settling trade disputes that isn't working properly, and many member countries that feel it lacks the tools to cope with China's subsidies and state-owned firms. Some observers say it's an organisation in crisis.
Soldiers in Myanmar have fired rubber bullets at protesters in the central city of Mandalay. Social media posts are showing wounded demonstrators and the sounds of gunshots. James Rodehaver is the chief of the Myanmar team at the UN Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights.
We're very concerned. You look at the scenes as they're unfolding, and the use of force against peaceful protesters is not only unacceptable, but it's unlawful. But what's important to keep in mind now is the need to keep up pressure on this unlawful seizure of power and to continue to stress the need to protect the demonstrators, to recognize their right to protest, and to facilitate their aspirations towards the return of their democratic system.
A South African inquiry into corruption under Jacob Zuma will ask the Constitutional Court to impose a jail term on the former president after he failed to appear before the commission today. From Johannesburg, Pumza Felani reports.
Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, a deliberate and usually measured man, seems to have run out of patience. In a scathing rebuke after former President Jacob Zuma refused to present himself before the Commission on Monday to give evidence, Judge Zondo is taking the matter to the Constitutional Court. Mr. Zondo, visibly upset, said Mr. Zuma's defiance had far-reaching implications for the law and could not be left unchallenged. He said the Commission would file an application with the Constitutional Court for Mr. Zuma to be found in contempt of court. He added that their application would include that he be sentenced to a jail term.
China says it has cracked down on a series of fake vaccine scams with dozens of arrests, including a criminal group said to have made a profit of nearly $3 million. Chinese police said 70 suspects had been arrested in 21 separate cases of coronavirus vaccine fraud. Local media reported that one group used saline solution in fake vaccines. World news from the BBC. The World Health Organization says an Ebola vaccination campaign has started in the city of Butembo in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. It said health workers were the first to be vaccinated. Congo announced the 12th Ebola outbreak earlier this month with 4 confirmed cases. A separate outbreak was announced in Guinea on Sunday. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has accused the United States of siding with Kurdish militants after the bodies of 13 Turks were found with gunshot wounds in a cave in northern Iraq. Turkey alleges they were summarily executed by PKK militants. Mr. Erdogan described a U.S. statement condemning the killings as a joke. A Spanish rapper has barricaded himself inside a Catalan university to avoid a prison sentence for a series of online messages. Pablo Hasél had been given until Friday to turn himself in after being convicted of glorifying terrorism, as well as slander against the Crown and state institutions. His tweets had attacked the monarchy and accused police of torturing and killing demonstrators and migrants. Scientists who bored a hole through an Antarctic ice shelf have discovered new species living in total darkness on the seabed, hundreds of kilometres from their closest source of food. They found bacteria, sponges and animals with a stalk-like head, which could be a form of predator known as a hydroid. One of the study's authors, Dr. Hugh Griffiths from the British Antarctic Survey, said he never expected to find such creatures living so far from daylight and nutrient sources.
We have whole periods of the Earth's history hundreds of millions of years ago when the scientists believed that the Earth was completely frozen and there was no chance that large, proper animals could have survived. And these animals are surviving in those kind of conditions. And so it really teaches us that actually the history of what we believe has gone on with life could be different. But also, the rule book that we'd written for Antarctic animals, these aren't doing what that says either.
BBC News.
That was the WINN FM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Caribou.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, DeLeo Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world. Whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous, you can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air. We get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises, telephone number 466-9595.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults. It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
As usual, on Voices, we get into some very exciting debates, and we are back after the luncheon interlude. We have within the studio with us Ras Kalonji, and I want to say welcome back to our many listeners and viewers. For those who called this morning and made the contribution, Montserrat is supposed to call back. I'm not sure if Ras Kalonji actually answered your question to your satisfaction, but you promised to call back and get into that debate. Africa, we had to cut you off because of the timing. Well, welcome back to Voices, and we continue with the debate. Pardon?
But Socrates, as we played the last clip with Paul Robertson.
You have another clip to play?
Yeah.
Okay.
One more clip.
The engineer was queued up for you, and we played that last clip. You were trying to show the correlation between the the four boys. Mm-hmm. The clip played by Wolf, was it Professor Wolf? Professor Wolf. And Paul Robertson. We're discussing communism versus democracy and capitalism, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you ready to go? Go ahead, sir.
Are you now a member of the Communist Party?
Oh, please, please, please.
Please answer, will you, Mr. Robeson?
What is the Communist Party? What do you mean by that?
Are you now a member of the Communist Party?
Would you like to come to the ballot box when I vote and take out the ballot and see?
Mr. Chairman, I respectfully suggest the witness be directed to answer the question.
You are directed to answer the question. I invoke the Fifth Amendment and forget it.
I respectfully suggest the witness be directed to answer the question whether, if he gave us a truthful answer, he would be supplying information which might be used against him in a criminal proceeding.
You are directed to answer, Mr. Robeson. In the first place, wherever I have been in the world, the first to die in the struggle against fascism were the communists. I laid many wreaths upon the graves of communists. That is not criminal. Chief Justice Warren has been very clear that the Fifth Amendment does not have anything to do with the influence of criminality, and I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Have you ever been known under the name of John Thomas?
Oh, please, does somebody here want me to put up a perjury someplace? John Thomas, my name is Paul Robeson. And anything I have to say, I have said in public all over the world, and that is why I'm here today.
Mr. Chairman, I ask that you direct the witness to answer the question he's making. His speech. I ask you to affirm or deny the fact that your Communist Party name was John Thomas.
I invoke the Fifth Amendment. This is really ridiculous.
The witness talks very loud when he makes a speech, but when he invokes the Fifth Amendment, I can't hear him.
I have medals for diction. I can talk plenty loud.
Will you talk a little louder?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment loudly.
Sir, who are Mr. and Mrs. Vladimir
I
Nikiev?
invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Do you know a Manning Johnson?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Do you know Gregory Kifitz?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Do you know a Max Jurgen?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Max Jurgen.
Why don't you have these people here to be cross-examined? Could I ask whether this is legal?
This is not only legal, but usual. By unanimous vote, this committee has been instructed to perform this very distasteful task.
To whom am I talking?
You're speaking to the chairman of the committee.
Mr. Walter?
Yes.
The Pennsylvania Walter?
That is right.
Representative of the steel workers?
That is right.
And the coal mining workers?
That is right.
Not United States Steel by any chance. A great patriot.
That is right.
You are the author of the bills that are going to keep all kinds of decent people out of the country.
No, only your kind.
Colored people like myself. And you would let in the Teutonic Anglo-Saxon stock.
We are trying to make it easier to get rid of your kind, too.
You don't want any colored people to come in. Could I be allowed to read from my statement?
Will you just tell this committee, please, while under oath, Mr. Robeson, the communists who participated in the preparation of that statement?
Oh, please. The reason I'm here today, from the mouth of the State Department itself, is I should not be allowed to travel because I have struggled for the independence of the colonial peoples of Africa. The other reason I'm here today, again, from the State Department and from the record of the Court of Appeals, is that when I am abroad, I speak out against injustices against the Negro people in this land. That is why I'm here. I'm not being tried for whether I'm a communist. I'm being tried for fighting for the rights of my people, who are still second-class citizens in this country, in this United States of America. My mother was born in your state. My mother was a Quaker. My ancestors, in the time of Washington, baked bread for George Washington's troops when they crossed the Delaware. My father was a slave. I stand here struggling for the rights of my people to be full citizens in this country. And we are not. We are not in Mississippi. We are not in Montgomery, Alabama. We are not in Washington. We are nowhere. And that is why I'm here today. You want to shut up every Negro who has the courage to stand up and fight for the rights of his people, for the rights of workers. And I have been on many a picket line for the steel workers, too. And that is why I'm here today.
Would you tell us whether or not you know Thomas W. Young?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment.
Thomas W. Young is a Negro president of the Guide Publishing Company. I'd like to read you his testimony, quote, Paul Robeson has no moral right to place in jeopardy the welfare of the American Negro to advance a foreign cause. In the eyes of the Negro people, this false prophet is unfaithful to their country, and they repudiate him, close quote. Do you know the man that said that?
I invoke the Fifth Amendment now. Can I read my statement? It is a sad and bitter comment.
While you were in Paris in 1949, Mr. Robeson, did you tell an audience the American Negro would never go to war against the Soviet government?
May I say that is slightly out of context? May I explain to you what I did say? I remember the speech very well. 2,000 students who came from populations that would range to 600 or 700 million people asked me to say in their name that they did not want war. No part of my speech in Paris says 15 million American Negroes would do anything. I said it was my feeling that the American people would struggle for peace, and that has been since underscored by the President of these United States. Now, in passing, I said...
Do you know any people who want war?
Listen to me. I said it was unthinkable to me that any people could take up arms in the name of a man like Senator Eastland of Mississippi against anybody. Gentlemen, I still say that. This United States government should go to Mississippi and protect my people. That is what it should do.
I lay before you, sir, an article, quote, I am looking for full freedom, unquote, by Paul Robeson in The Worker. July 3rd, 1949, quote, I said it was unthinkable that the Negro people of America or elsewhere could be drawn into war with the Soviet Union. I repeat it with 100-fold emphasis, they will not, close quote.
And, gentlemen, they have not. It is clear that no Americans are going to go to war with the Soviet Union.
While you were in Stockholm, did you make a little speech?
I made all kinds of speeches.
Let me read you a quotation.
Let me listen.
Do so, please.
I am a lawyer.
It would be a revelation if you would listen to counsel.
In good company, I usually listen. But you know, people wander around in such fancy places.
You said, Mr. Robeson, and I quote, I belong to the American resistance movement, which fights against American imperialism, just as the resistance movement fought against Hitler.
Just like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman were underground railroaders and fighting for our freedom, you bet your life.
I have to insist that you listen to these questions.
I am listening.
I quote further, why should the Negroes ever fight against the only nation in the world where racial discrimination is prohibited and where the people can live freely? Never. They will never fight against either the Soviet Union or the people's democracies, close quote. Did you make that statement?
I do not remember, but what is perfectly clear today is that 900 million people, other colored people, have told you they will not. 400 million in India and millions everywhere have told you that.
The witness has answered the question. He doesn't need to make a speech.
Did you write an article that was published in the USSR Information Bulletin?
Yes.
Quote, I want to emphasize that only here in the Soviet Union did I feel that I was a real man with a capital M, close quote.
I would say, what is your name?
Arendt.
I am quite willing to answer the question. When I was a singer years ago, and this you will have to listen to.
I am listening.
I am a bass singer, so for me, it was Chelyabin, the great Russian bass, not Caruso the tenor. I learned the Russian language to sing their songs. I wish you would listen now.
Mr. Chairman, I ask you to direct the witness to answer the question.
Just be fair with me.
I ask for order.
The great poet of Russia is of African blood.
Let us not go so
It is
far
important to
afield.
explain this.
Did you make that statement?
When I first went to Russia in 1934...
Did you make that statement?
When I first went to Russia in
Did you
1934...
make that statement?
In Russia, I felt for the first time like a full human being. No color prejudice like in Mississippi. No color prejudice like in Washington. It was the first time I felt like a human being. Where I do not feel the pressure of color as I feel it in this committee today.
Why do you not stay in Russia?
Because my father was a slave. And my people died to build this country. And I'm going to stay here and have a part of it just like you. And no fascist-minded people will drive me from it. Is that clear?
You are here because you are promoting the communist cause.
I am here because I'm opposing the neo-fascist cause, which I see arising in these committees. Jefferson could be sitting here, and Frederick Douglass could be sitting here. Eugene Debs could be sitting here.
Now, what prejudice are you talking about? You were graduated from Rutgers. You were graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. I remember seeing you play football at Lehigh. There was no prejudice against you.
Just a moment. This is something I challenge very deeply, that the success of a few Negroes can make up for $700 a year for thousands of Negro families in the South. My father was a slave, and I have cousins who are sharecroppers. I do not see success in terms of myself. I have sacrificed hundreds of thousands of dollars for what I believe in.
While you were in Moscow, Mr. Robeson, did you make a speech lauding Stalin?
I can't remember.
Have you recently changed
What
your
has
mind about
happened
Stalin?
to Stalin, gentlemen, is a question with the Soviet Union, and I won't argue with a representative of the people who, in building America, wasted the lives of my people. You are responsible, you and your forebears, for 60 to 100 million black people dying in the slave ships and on the plantations. Don't you ask me about anybody.
I'm sure you wouldn't want to discuss with us the slave labor camps in the
Nothing
Soviet
could be built
Union.
more on slavery than this society, I assure you.
I would invite your attention to the Daily Worker of June 29, 1949, with reference to a get-together with you and Ben Davis, formerly communist councilman in New York. Do you know Ben
One
Davis?
of my dearest friends. He is as patriotic an American as can be, and you, gentlemen, are the non-patriots.
Just a minute.
You are the un-Americans.
The hearing is now adjourned.
I think it should be.
I've been doing all of this that I can.
Can I read my statement?
No! The meeting is adjourned.
It should be.
We have to pause for a word from our sponsors before we get to engage in this topic. So, yes, Mr. Engineer, take us to commercial break, please.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
You better power up in February at Horsford's Value Mart IGA. Yes! In February, we are giving you 3 ways to power up. 1. Power up for your Value Club points in February. Yes! For the first time ever, every Value Club customer will earn double point on all Value Club purchases at Value Mart in St Kitts and Nevis. 2. Power up in our Power Play, where lucky customers will win their purchase free. Just listen out for the Power Play alert, and if you are at the Mystery Power Register of the day, you win your purchase absolutely free with double points and more. 3. Power up your saving with the Horsford's Value Mart Red Tag Value Deal. Yes! Power up with the savings with huge discount on select Value Deals items. Power up your points. Power up your saving. Win your purchase free in our Power Play. Power up February at Horsford's Value Mart IGA. Don't miss it. Terms and conditions apply. You better.
Straight to the lines. There's a call on the line. We got to be quicker than that. Monserrato, don't forget we are standing by to hear from you, same as Africa. But Ras, that was scintillating. That was very informative. And we take this caller, your 11 voices. Better call your 11 voices.
Just like I promised.
Yes.
I'm here. And just before me go there, me lose my grandmother from my mother's side.
Our condolences.
Yeah, age 99, 3 months short of the 100.
From the studios of WINN FM, from my family to yours, our condolences. And may she rest in eternal peace.
Yeah.
Sorry for your loss.
And the amazing Socrates, because her father go 99 and the mother go 98.
What the planet? The plan this thing.
They seem like they just come out to hit the 100 at all the time.
But we
Anyway,
celebrate their
Socrates.
lives. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah. Me not get the answer, but let me frame the question this way. Kalonji, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. And my condolences.
Yes. Let me frame the question this way, that you could really understand what you say. You consider yourself free then I think it?
Well, as long as my people are not free, globally, I'm not free.
No, Kalonji, no.
No, I don't deal with individuality, brother. I deal with a collective.
Well, me not going to understand what you said, because you said black people not free in America. So, me want to know, because Socrates, what me try to forget that? Country got some rules that govern it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You follow me, Socrates?
Yes.
Right. As long as you stay within them rules, you will consider yourself free?
Within the Constitution, yes, the boundaries. Once I stay within them, yes.
Okay.
You're free to do what you ought, not what you want.
Yeah, what I want to get from Kalonji, explain free for me. Me want to get this free, because you see, now, see a company come down the road, and see now you got some rules come now that none of them before, and if you don't want to abide by them, you get yourself running with the law, right or wrong, Socrates?
That is correct.
Right. So this is how me want to know, because what me want to know now, if he feel himself free, and what the difference between he's free and black people in America free? You understand? You understand what we want to get at?
So you want me to explain the difference?
Yeah, me want to know the free that then now me can frame the difference. So
And you think he's just generalizing?
Me don't want to hear if no, give me both. As long as you people and them out enough, you know, consider me. No.
That's his philosophy.
That can't be answer for me.
But appear
Okay,
that's his philosophy.
Yeah, that's philosophy, but me not get them.
See that by
Okay then. Good. Okay.
Always a very valuable contribution. Thank you, sir, for calling. For those who wish to win in the conversation, we got 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989, 718-265, 6948, 508, 921-4619, 0333, 0440-065. We have commentary and we have a caller online. Caller, live on Voices. Go right ahead.
Hi, good day.
Good day, sir.
How are you doing? I was listening to your program this morning, and then I listened a bit a while ago.
Yes.
However, one must realize one might be free, but at the end of the day, when you're governed by rules and regulations, that freedom is curtailed within those boundaries.
That is correct.
Every political system is free within their laws. Even if you want to say communism, dictatorship, democracy, whatever, you abide by laws and rules. And therefore, two persons in a democratic society, as they might say, the rules in a communist dictatorship might seem harsh, but the fact is, all countries are governed by rules. Even our own homes are governed by rules. And therefore, the rules I might use in my house may not be the same thing you use in your house. Because I know how to deal with my children. I know how I want my house to be governed. I might say, my children and anybody who comes to my house must abide by godly Christ principles. You might say, no, it's something else, but at least when you're in my house, You have to deal with my godly beliefs. Don't come to my house. This is where they're coming from.
Yeah, I got it. I'm going to let Ras Kalonji address that, just to hear his thoughts.
No, I don't want you to come here because I want to also make another point.
Okay, go ahead.
Because every time Black History Month come up and we're talking about black people, we always seem to be stuck in the past. Like we're living in the past. Now, there's a difference between living the past and knowing your past. As if you live in the past, you're going to remain the same way. Now, at the end of the day, I have never heard about the progress of what we have made. It's always about the struggle. Now, if our country have been governed, which is a black majority in St Kitts and Nevis as far as I can, I don't want to know about any other country. I'm talking about my country. Because it's talking is encompassing areas that has nothing to do with us. Yes, it is good for us to know those things. But if you're talking so general, painting everything with a wide brush, even we who are here in St. Kitts and Nevis who are not facing those situations, we get caught up in it. And then that is why sometimes you might realize our young people has no one to look up to, because every time we talk as if slavery still abounds. And it seems as if even our political persons, even some persons, even you, and the same gentleman who making a contribution, not even you appears to have done anything, because you hear nothing about persons from St. Kitts and Nevis for the good and great things they have done and they have accomplished. We always hear about some foreigner. Yes, we have to take our lead. St. Kitts and Nevis might be small, but if you look at the history of our country, we are punching above our waist and our weight, if you want to put it that way, many things, and our country and our people are not being recognized. Yes, you could be black because you can't change it, but the history of St. Kitts and Nevis and the contribution our people have made, we are not hearing about it. And when we do hear about it, we're hearing it from a political point of view. But that is our history. That is black history. Our story is not being told.
Could I say something?
The personal story is being told.
What about the Buckley's Uprising? We talk about the Buckley's Uprising.
Yeah, but we move on. What have we achieved? I'm not hearing what we have achieved since that.
But because of the Buckley's Uprising, that's why we have the standard of living that we have today.
But I'm not hearing about it. Everything go back to.
But we talk about that. We talk about that.
Then we're talking about, we have to be careful sometimes, because the same person who we accuse of being hated and being things become just like them and even worse.
Could I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
If you was in a situation with George Floyd, you think you would have been the same victim?
I am in St. Kitts and Nevis.
No, I'm brother, listen what I'm saying. I ask you a specific question.
I do not know what circumstance he in. All I know, if I'm in front of a police officer and he told me, so I'm going to follow instructions and do what? If he do it, sir. But
my brother,
yes,
listen me carefully.
Yes, I'm listening.
Any black man on the planet was in the situation like George Floyd, the outcome will have been the same. It's as simple as that.
I have been around a lot of persons, white, Chinese, everything. But you know something? One attitude and one behavior and one self-respect determine a lot.
But let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Did George Floyd disobey the police?
I do not know the circumstances.
Oh, you mean you side my brother?
I know what happened to him. Listen to me. I know what happened to him. It is wrong. Those persons should be in prison, and that's what I'm saying. I am not saying because there are a lot of other black people. If it was the truth that any black person could have happened, every black man in America would have been facing that every day. And there are some persons who come across situations that might have been worse with George Floyd, and the situation didn't turn out that way. Every situation.
But my brother, listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying to you. Listen me carefully. The whole world saw what happened to George Floyd.
The whole world should be listening to what's happening in St. Kitts and Nevis with our progress, our prosperity. But they're not hearing that.
But I just said that. I said because of the Buckley's Uprising, that's why we're living the standard of living we have.
How many years ago? Buckley's right, and that's what I'm talking about. We're still living in the past.
Let me ask you a question.
What have we achieved? What have we learned from the Buckley's riot?
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir. What about?
I think it was last year.
Even now with the COVID situation, St. Kitts and Nevis are leading in that list. We are contributing.
My brother, I don't look at it in terms of we leading, because anything could happen. Because somebody was released.
I'm hearing about the past.
Listen what I'm
not
saying
about
to
the
you.
contribution of even you, what you have done. I'm not caring about what you would have done.
I'm making a contribution in terms of educating our people.
Socrates would have done. I'm not caring about that.
Listen what
You're
I'm
just
saying to
sticking
you.
the
Listen,
task.
listen what I'm saying to you.
Yes,
Listen
sir.
what I'm saying to you. You think Dr. King made a contribution to our people?
He hasn't made no contribution as far as concerned to St Kitts and Nevis.
No, you cannot say that. My brother, listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying.
I'm gonna wait after you guys are done because
he was fighting for the freedom for those persons in Alabama, and yes, it spread to other parts of the United States. But what they were fighting for, we basically had, because if you check our history, that's what I'm saying. Check our history. And
Listen, could I say something? Could I say something?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have citizens in the United States, right?
Yes.
From St. Kitts. So the rights that Dr. King struggled for, they benefit from it?
They went up there and met after that struggle. I'm talking about now. Even now, our people in the United States making contribution up to now.
My brother, all of us making a contribution. I'm saying to you, that is because of the struggle of black people in the United States.
How can we prevent that from happening again? That's what I'm talking about. How can we prevent it from happening again?
But okay,
if we keep living in the past, if we continue to appear to happen to some, because those who believe that progress have been made and black people continue to be free, they will be free indeed, because you are free as how you think you are.
No, my brother, that's a false
Yes, my
concept.
friend. No, you see, you've mentioned about one could be mentally enslaved, but you can be free in mind as well. Because if you believe,
but if you're free in mind and your people are not free, what does that make you?
But you remember what Nelson Mandela said? He was locked away, but in his mind he was free. What I'm saying, my friend, if we think we are bound and in bondage, we will appear and we will be in bondage.
But we are in bondage.
You are free. No, you could be in a free, open society and you're enslaved, you know. But you could be in an enslaved and enclosed place, but you're free and free as can be. It all starts with your mental thinking. And if you could see what is happening around us and realize St. Kitts and Nevis is one of the freest places in the world. And at the end of the day, we are black people, the majority of black people.
Could I ask you another question? Could I ask you another question?
Yes,
you say we are free. We have to extradite people from this country, and you say we are free to the United States.
We are signed on to certain agreements, and if you sign on to
what agreement? That was a colonial agreement. What agreement? That was done in colonial days?
No, but at the end of the day, remember, a man's word should be his word. When you say you're going to do something, you should do it.
Okay, could I ask you another question? Could I ask you another question?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Could we extradite people from the United States?
If we request it, but remember,
that will never happen.
We have a legal framework that it could meet. And if you ask about justice system, who knows what might have happened? But of course, if we have an agreement where they can extradite somebody from St. Kitts and Nevis can extradite somebody from the United States if they do something wrong. Yeah. And if we request...
You think that will happen in all honesty?
If we request, you will never know unless you ask. I'm sure you might have told your children or niece and nephew, you will never know what will happen unless you ask. Nothing beat a child but a failure.
I want to put something to you. I want to put something to you. You know, the government of Antigua took the United States to court and won a case, and up to now they have not been compensated?
Because
do you know that?
The rich and powerful always believe they could take.
But that is the point, my brother. That is the point.
So therefore, but at the end of the day, Antigua and Barbuda is free to take that step. Unlike some others who might be afraid to do it, they were not afraid to take that step against the United States of America.
But they have not been rewarded.
Free indeed, because they were brave enough to go against the tide. So that's a free nation of Antigua and Barbuda who took that free.
Listen what I'm saying to you. Listen what I'm saying. Have they been rewarded? Have they been rewarded?
Justice will come one day. Who knows? They might be rewarded in many ways. In a minute, no. But you know, at the end of the day, it has been proven that at the end of the day, we are free to make that choice to take the United States to court. Just like now, any black person throughout the world, as long as you're in a country where you have that right to do, to make that choice to sue, take anybody who wrongs you to court. That means you're free to do that. Back where you keep going all the time about slavery, they were not allowed to do that, but we are free and free now to do that. And any country that does think and need anything, we are free and free to take them to the international court, to the UN, to wherever. And
but what is the outcome? That's what I'm saying. You're free to do a lot of things. But what is the... Oh, you're not talking about the conclusion?
We gotta look at a breakthrough
the
for
conclusion
responses.
is left up to the persons who determine if wrong was done and mete out the necessary punishment.
My brother. Antigua won the case.
Yes, it is because if they didn't take the United States to the court, they would have never known if they would have won. That's the one. And it's an example for
what I'm
any
saying,
other country to
my
take
brother,
the United States to court.
my brother. Be for real, man. The one, look here, if somebody take me to court and I lose the case, I will be punished. That is the conclusion.
But I just pointed out to you at the end of the day, and that is why certain persons, even a black man, will do the same thing to another black man. If that person believes he's more richer and more powerful than the other person, they're going to try to take advantage of that person. And that's the point I'm trying to get. But at the end of the day,
one more
poor
question.
black man take the rich black man to court.
One more question.
Justice, it is left up to the court.
One more question.
If the court believes the person was wrong, then the court decision will come down with judgment.
One more
if the
question.
person refuses to pay or go to court, then the court will have to take another decision.
One more question for you.
Obedience.
One more question.
What do you call it? Breach the court order.
One more
Yes,
question.
sir.
One more question.
Yes,
you think black people could have stormed the Capitol and live?
Of course.
Okay. On that note, over there?
Of course. No, you believe it would have been suicide, it would have been ethnic cleansing if they do otherwise.
Caller.
Yes, sir.
What I'm getting from you,
yes,
seems to be an issue in discussing discussing the inequalities of the past, specifically racial inequalities of the past. In today's context that are still affecting people around the world. You're saying that we're free, and look at what happens here in St. Kitts. Unfortunately for that premise, we do not operate in a bubble. You mentioned Mandela. In that context, Mandela's struggle in South Africa should have had nothing to do with us here in St. Kitts. We are talking about human dignity around the world and the struggles. Margaret Thatcher, Ronald Reagan, Dick Cheney, they campaigned very strongly against releasing Nelson Mandela. It was the Castros, the Gaddafis, and those who fought. It should have nothing to do with them. So here in St. Kitts, you mentioned that we sign on to certain conventions. We do sign on. But there's a state of human dignity and the fight for equality across the board, racially or otherwise. So when we look back to see how things were and try to measure our journey, you're saying we're living in the past. I beg to differ with you. Because I've been in situations where the color of my skin determined how I was treated. So if I have a voice, or if there's somebody in the program speaking about that, it's your opinion that we're living or we're stuck in the past. I beg to differ. The whole debate is about human dignity, racial equality, and the discussion, the debate must continue. So if you find that to be offensive, I make no apologies.
Living in the past and knowing your past.
I guarantee you I'm not stuck in the past. I can guarantee you this.
Would never happen again.
That is why we must have the debate.
That
this is why we must have the debate and discussion going forward and inform people, because too many of us, even current day, our people are bleaching the skin because they don't know who they are. So it's our job to draw the comparison, explain. There's too much miseducation that we suffered from. And there are those who feel that they're comfortable now, so we have no reason. Slavery is yesterday. It is still very much affecting us today in so many different ways that we don't see it. And as long as I have a platform of voice, I will speak to it. I am not stuck in the past. I'm advising people the best I can to address themselves better in the future.
What I'm concerned about, you're saying we. Were you enslaved?
Oh,
yes.
Exactly, my brother.
You were enslaved.
Yes. Our people, our ancestors, you drop out the sky.
Listen. The question is, were you personally enslaved?
Our ancestors. You are your ancestor.
No. The question I'm asking,
I don't want to go down that road, and I should have stopped. I should have stopped a while ago for a station break, right?
Because you're saying we.
Yes, we collectively.
Were Was you enslaved? Were you oppressed? And that's what I'm asking. Because that's what I'm saying. By living in the past, there's a difference between.
And that is why you find
when you start to include
some of
yourself,
us
I
are
mean,
of a
you say
lighter
you-
complexion. We feel that it
That's
doesn't
what I'm
apply
saying.
to us. You know? And we call people Samba because they have a darker. It's all about the mental condition that still affect us today. When I say us,
but you see,
when I say
some
us,
of you
we have to be
rightly said
collective because we're talking about one people.
You could be free and enslaved mentally. But that's what you're doing now.
You're looking in the mirror,
You're
my
trying
friend.
to enslave yourself mentally.
You're looking in the mirror.
Free yourself physically and mentally, and then you
I
will
must,
certain things
I
differently.
must at
And
this
you would
stage,
live
I
free to talk
must
freely about the past
pause
and
for
not
a
appear
word
weak
from
or
our
living in the
sponsors.
past.
Our
That's the difference.
obligations are to our sponsors, so please permit me to take a station break, okay? Go ahead.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Get ready for an exciting year with Flow Broadband and TV connecting you at home. Sign up now and get a free Samsung tablet worth over $900. Up to 100 megabits per second blazing internet will keep everyone on top of everything every day. While Flow TV delivers the best home entertainment with the latest shows on demand in HD plus favorites you can record. Visit your nearest Flow store today to sign up for Flow Broadband and TV and get your free Samsung tablet. Conditions apply.
Power up in February at Horsford's Value Mart IGA. Yes! In February, we are giving you 3 ways to power up. 1. Power up for your Value Club points in February. Yes! For the first time ever, every Value Club customer will earn double point on all Value Club purchases at Value Mart in St Kitts and Nevis. 2. Power up in our Power Play where lucky customers will win their purchase free. Just listen out for the Power Play alert, and if you are at the mystery Power Register of the day, you win your purchase absolutely free with double points and more. 3. Power up your saving with the Horsford's Value Mart Red Tag Value Deal. Yes! Power up with the savings with huge discount on select Value Deals items. Power up your points. Power up your saving. Win your purchase free in our Power Play. Power up February at Horsford's Value Mart IGA. Don't miss it. Terms and conditions apply. You better.
We're back with the program. We're going to go straight to the lines. Call your 11 voices. Go to caller, your 11 voices. Okay, we would have lost a caller. Morgan Freeman is on record as having said that we do not need Black History Month. So for the younger, now we lost a caller. They'll call back if they can. For the younger generation who would hear something vaguely about the Black Panthers, they don't need to be informed as to what it was that represented. Call your 11 voices.
Hi, the King.
Good afternoon, Africa. How are you doing?
As promised, I'm back.
Yes.
Let me take it back a little bit before I go forward. Sankofa.
We got 20 minutes to make it work, please.
The philosophy of Sankofa. I wish to ask the last caller to get into the philosophy of Sankofa. The symbol of the philosophy of Sankofa. It's a bird in motion. It's going forward. But the bird, its neck, it's looking backward. Wow. Because where the source is, we catch jar and bottles of water. Albeit those bottles and liters of water comes from a source. Eventually our liters is going to get empty. And we must go back to the source and refill our bottles. And that is our journey on life. We don't have the source within our gut. So therefore there's a source. So we must always get back. If they said, that is the past. Because the past is the only complete thing. Now, yes, we will have a conversation about what affects us presently now. But we are incomplete in the present, and the future is just a thought of the mind, the imagination. That philosophy is deep and is far-fetched. When Bob Marley said, I remember on the slave ship, when they brutalized my very soul, you have to identify yourself. What kind of spirituality would there be if you don't? Yes, there are traditions where we do go and we put some weed, some flowers, fresh flowers by the graves of our ancestors. It is imperative. They have taught us not to, so we don't make the connection. Like Kalonji said, the person did not drop out of the sky. We must appreciate the blood that flows through our veins.
Correct.
We want to pass the blood on to some future generations when the time comes.
But many of us buy this concept that we should forget and move on.
It's going to be irrelevant. For the brother earlier that asked about the pineal gland, the pineal gland came to fruition in modern biology is when a lot of the Vietnam War, when a lot of Black American soldiers was coming back home and they were doing their autopsy. And they realized that, you know, when they did the cranial autopsy, they saw this gland. And then they went into the biology of it and knowing, wanted to see what's the difference with the different ethnicities or races of people. Where lo and behold, they realized that our gland, the pineal gland in the black folks were secreted. It was fluid. It emanates some secretion, as opposed to other races that was what they considered to be calcified, you know, hardened.
Yeah.
Wasn't secreting where it's supposed to be throughout the body. And that is where the studies went. And they came up with fanciful words like melanin. And then they discovered that this melanin
you need to shift your position. There's some wind.
All over in the universe. It was a universal thing. Hello, you say something?
You need to shift your position or location. We have too much wind blowing back into your phone.
I'm not hearing you too well.
That is because you need to shift your location. There's too much wind blowing into your phone. We're getting that feedback here in the studio. So just shift your position. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's better.
Or the wind.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very windy.
Well,
so I hope you caught what I was saying there. I don't want to.
I did. I was saying that the wind was actually over. You know. Anyway,
yes,
go ahead.
I understand. Yeah. And so that is where the study and the biology as to what the pineal gland, and I came up with a term like melanin, which was all over the universe, the blackness, like when a fetus is in the womb, you know, that blackness, that melanin, that gives it the content and everything like that. So that is where it took off, and other biologists in our black circles did more research into it and built on. So they know. And that melanin was responsible for intuitiveness, the color of your eye, the color of your hair, and all of those things. The protection from the ultraviolet of the sun and all of that. It's from what they come up with another fancy term they call melanoma. It is a skin cancer. Yeah. And all of that. You know? But I'm not going to go into what the last brother was saying.
I'm going to give us a minute to wrap up because we are
Africa, I just wanted to address your question earlier, right? Here's the response. You was talking about communism and terms and capitalism. But communism has come from Africa. Let me explain. The political maturity of the African masses may to some extent be traced to economic and social patterns of traditional times. Under communalism, which the term now is communism, for example, all land and the means of production belong to the community. And that is what it's about. Our tradition in the past. We owned everything. When the European captured us and brought us here now, he changed up the whole system. So we, as you say, Sankofa, we always have to return to the past to come to the future. So that's just the point I wanted to make.
Good point. But you agree also that the word that is used today, you did agree, And I agree with what you're saying. But you did agree that it was not come under that the labor.
Yeah, but it's just the concept is the same.
Yes, the concept is the same, but we have an expression that it comes under, whereas we don't have to be borrowing their labor concept because that kind of somewhat make us uncomfortable, some of us.
It make us uncomfortable because we don't understand what we're dealing with.
All of them has their foundations in the way we do things in community and otherwise. Yes, I agree. I agree on all of that, Kalonji. I am only saying because the labels that was posted on these things here somewhat have us divided, and we're talking about the unification now. So if we have to just put those labels aside and do things.
But you can't put the labels aside because all our leaders was termed as communists. All our leaders was labeled that. So we have to deal with the reality.
That might be so because I have known a lot about, not much, but Mandela and others, yes. That might be so. But all I am saying that the labor that they took up, like, look, listen, I agree on a lot. I'm just talking about the labor because with Hitler and the Nazis and what they call the swastika, yes, there were times when I looked at that swastika as something, like because they have that label. I have gone beyond that because when you do research into the swastika, you will see it is the lunar. It is a counterclock motion that came out of our every people, which, today...
It's an African symbol, and we people don't know that.
Yes. So I agree, Kalonji. It's just that only the label that tends to kind of keep us divided, where they call it communist or capitalist, all of those things. And like I said earlier, they're just on the periphery with the labels. All of those things were a part of us because the Nordic people, the Scandinavian people, has the same model. Sweden
Africa, you got 30
Denmark
seconds.
have the model from Rwanda and all those.
Africa, can you hear me? You got 30 seconds to wrap up, please.
Okay, so basically that's my contribution for now. The King.
Yes, sir.
We have something to talk. I'm going to take it on from a more cultural perspective because sure people in the religious thing, I want to take it from a different angle so that we can identify ourselves in the totality.
Much appreciated.
Yes, we identify a lot culturally, but otherwise we haven't identified ourselves as the people.
Okay.
I'm going to take it from different angles.
Much appreciated.
Time. Thanks for listening.
Okay.
I'll continue to listen.
All right. Any callers on the line? Okay. Yeah, Ras, I got a bit heated a few minutes back. Yes, Brenda, we're glad you logged on. Amber, Peter at the bank. Let's take this caller. Call your live on Voices.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I just heard Kalonji make a statement which is both historically incorrect and factually misleading. He said that communalism and communism are essentially the same thing. Of course, I find that is intellectually dishonest statement to make. Communalism refers to a system wherein the community at large, represented by elders and leaders, control that which exists, all the resources, as it were, in that community.
Yes.
Communism, on the other hand, is a system in which the state
controls.
Is paramount. The state exercises a system of paramountcy, and the commanding heights of the economy are controlled by the state. In communist societies, as exposed by Marx and Engels, the community, in fact, is hardly regarded, as opposed to communalism, where the views, the expression, the desires of that said community are, in fact, paramount. In the communist system, it's a reverse system, a reverse situation where the community, the members of the community, hardly have any say. And the state, represented by a party or by, in almost all cases, a very small minority of individuals, they are the ones who make the decisions to the exclusion of the involvement of the community.
Could I ask you a question? Hello?
Mr. Blake. He would have gone on. So you're going to address it.
But what I'm saying, that is the objective. They haven't reached the objective as yet.
No, but you're saying that they're the same. What he's saying that even though that may be in the objective, there's two distinct approaches.
No. What I'm saying to you is that, okay, even if you take the state is the community.
Yeah, but not when it comes to the dictatorship, because communism borders on dictatorship when it comes to dictating what this society must do.
The dictatorship of the proletariat.
Okay, let's go to the lines one more. Call 11 voices.
Hey, good afternoon to all of you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
Educate us. Go ahead.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I was going to say something based on, one of the callers, that was...
3 calls back.
But I'm going to leave that. But in terms of the 2 terms that your last caller mentioned, correct me if I'm wrong, right? But from what I understood, your guest, Mr. Kalonji, I thought he explained those 2 terms in the context of Africa before our forebears were taken to what they call the New World to be enslaved, right? But I think your last caller's explanation of the 2 terms isn't he talking in terms of contemporary societies right now?
Yeah, he's doing
Compared
that, but what he's missing is that is the objective. You see, but
communalism.
That the people, the masses, should own the means of production.
Yeah, but on paper, it's different to be what was practiced.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you, they haven't reached that stage as yet. That is the difference.
But you see, in Africa, the way that things were governed or ruled, it was completely different. Completely different up to the point when most of these people, our forebears, were colonized, conquered, and taken away. So in the context of what was explained by your guest, communalism and communism could have been one and the same thing.
Exactly.
It is not the same if we are explaining it in the context of today's ideologies and how these societies are governed. They're 2 different things. So correct me if I'm wrong. I'll continue to listen.
No, you're correct. Okay. She's correct. Because what I'm saying, Brother Socrates, is that is the goal. They haven't reached to that stage as yet. Because remember, communalism in Africa, right? That is how it was originally. But what happens, that process was broken. You have another caller.
We go to the lines. Call your 11 voices.
Hey, good afternoon, Socrates. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, Sister. Good afternoon.
You're in class.
Welcome.
School calling.
Yes.
Teacher, good morning. Good afternoon, teacher.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, you see, whenever you're having a discussion or a debate, you must first explain the terms you use. Define. You must have your definition must be clear. Whenever they're not clear, then the conversation becomes skewed and confused.
I agree, but they don't understand. So, you know what I'm saying?
No, hello, you see, that is the presupposition you have that they don't understand. Why you think you understand more than them? Remember, you're not dealing with a backward generation like in the 50s, you know. Our past leaders could have said anything and get away with it. Our past leaders, people are more educated. Just like how you are, they are. Now, communalism and communism are not synonymous. They never were. Never were. Even when you say they own the land, people were given freedom to choose their activities, to manage their private lives, to do their own investment, whether it is cattle or agriculture. There was no dictating from the top. There was no central planning.
I agree with that. But listen what I'm saying now, Sister Sylvie, is that they haven't reached that stage as yet because of imperialism.
Who haven't reached that stage as yet?
The communistic order or any communist state.
Which one are you talking about?
Any one of them.
So what goes on in North Korea?
What goes on in North
What goes on in Russia?
The dictatorship of the state.
That's communism.
Russia,
communism.
But let me clarify something. Russia is not a communist country.
What is it? It's a
No,
capitalist?
it's a capitalist.
It's a
Because
capitalist?
remember, the Soviet Union was dislodged. Yes, so it's not a communist country.
Hello, this lot don't mean each one cannot be capitalist, you know.
No, but Mr. Putin
Because
is a...
what you have created now as unique, separate states.
No, Mr.
And
Putin...
each one is free to decide its political thing.
No, but what I'm saying, sister, is that Putin is a capitalist.
It's the system under which the people live.
He doesn't have a
a
communist system. He have a capitalist system.
I ask you a question, you know. Yes or no?
I'm saying he does not have a communist system.
So the people operate under capitalism then?
Exactly.
So what goes on in China?
But that's a different situation. You have a communist party, but you have a capitalist economy.
What kind of contradictions you create?
That's not a contradiction. That's what it is.
What goes on in Cuba?
But that's a different situation now.
Now explain it to me now. What is it? A capitalist with a communist thing too?
No.
Wait,
No,
did you
in
hear the
Cuba is
news?
a different system. You
Wait,
have a
wait.
socialist.
What kind of system? Answer me the question.
You have a
What kind of
social.
system
You have
do
a
they have in
socialist.
Cuba?
You have a socialist system in Cuba.
What is the difference between socialism and communism?
The difference is that, like we was talking about communalism, in Cuba they have not reached that stage as yet. They have a communist
After that,
party. Listen me.
See, I get exam wrong.
No,
what
they have
is
a
the difference between communism and socialism? That's the question.
Miss, I'm telling you, they have not reached the communist stage as yet. You have a communist party in China. You have a communist party in Cuba. But you have a socialist system. When they
So
reach
explain to me the difference. Explain
the
to all of
difference-
us.
the
Because
dif-
people arguing and debating among themselves without a clear definition.
The difference is that when you get back to that communalism that we was talking about before, you understand? When the state is dissolved and the people have the means of production, but they haven't reached that stage as yet.
Wait, hello. How do you mean they haven't reached that stage as yet? The people don't have their own means of production?
No, listen what I'm saying to you.
Here's what. We got about 2 minutes before we end the program. so just
You
make a
called
point
too
and-
late, Miss Henry. I'll break it down to you. But what
Well,
I'm
no, you said you didn't want to call to all them people. Say, I called in just to disturb your presentation.
But anyway,
you understand?
we got engaged again. But what I'm saying to you, see, that's why I'm saying that our people have to understand something. They're not familiar with these things. That's why they
do
get
you know
confused.
that? You assume everybody ignorant.
No, I'm not. They're ignorant on the facts when it comes to these things.
No, your interpretation of it.
No.
By the way, you are part of a self-appointed group who are established to organize and think. Black people, well, who chose you all? I hear some of them are senators, and I mean, what part did the black people have in it?
In what?
The self-appointed government of Africa.
Or the provisional government of the Republic of Africa?
Who appointed you?
Who appointed?
You. Well, you all.
Africans throughout the Western
we,
world.
We're in the
You never.
Well, rule America. All right, then.
we're in the closing phase of the program today. And
All right, thank you, Socrates.
Are you calling with
And
this
my
late?
brother,
Yes.
think again.
Think again.
Make your definitions clearer.
My definitions are real clear.
Ras, seek to wrap up here. I want to say what after you done, so go ahead.
I'd just like to wrap up by a quote from Paul Robeson. The artist must elect to fight for freedom or slavery. I have made my choice. I had no alternative. The history of the capitalist era is characterized by the degradation of my people, despoiled of their lands, their true culture, destroyed, denied equal protection under the law, and deprived their rightful place in history. And I will end by this by
Clock it.
Mr. Edward Blyden. The communistic order of African life is not the result of accident. It is born of centuries of experience and is the outcome of a philosophical and faultless logic. Give thanks. One love.
Okay, that was Ras today. And of course, we have a contribution from Sister Henry a bit late, so hopefully next time we can get into the engagement. I want to say once again thank you to Queenie G for we're talking about Black History Month, and last night, as I said, she actually created some history in creating what was the first ever, as she called it, what did she call it again? Monarch's Choice Award, where she selected a number of artisans from the last carnival, and she actually awarded them. I would like to have her on the program next week. I'm going to make a call to see if that's possible because we have lots to discuss. For all the listeners and contributors, for all the viewers, we want to thank you for taking part in the program today. And once again, we wish you peace, love, and a much better tomorrow. Peter and Jerry at the bank over there, we need to have a conversation. Brenda, Amber, etc. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll talk another time, okay? Bye.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.